Alright, so last week we got the final trailer for the Rise of Skywalker, and me, someone who now does Star Wars content about every week, I want to talk about it. You see, I have theories. And I have theories I have not been able to share until now because I didn't do Star Wars stuff when the other trailers came out or the other movies. So without further delay, we're going to jump right into it, and we're going to review the scenes I'd like to discuss, because we are not breaking down every little scene, because that would take hours, and I'm going to let other people do that, because people have already done that. This video is a little bit late. I've seen the videos, I know. So we're going to start at the top. Right at the top of the trailer, it starts with a pan into a forest. Then Rey runs by, a lightsaber's drawn, and she drops her helmet. She also deflects some sort of blaster shot the further she gets from the camera. Don't know if you saw that or not. I did. Anyways, if I had to guess, I think the setting we are looking at is Endor. The helmet she dropped is one of the ones the rebels used on the Forest Moon in Episode 6, and it's a forest setting. You know, Episode 6 had a forest moon. This is a forest setting. I think you can get the picture. So why would she be on Endor? What's there to see there? Well, to speculate a little bit, this movie involves the Emperor. We know that as a fact. And more importantly, it involves the Death Stars, either both or just one. Now, it's very likely that Rey is searching for the remains of the battle stations. Why? Who knows? And so her search would have to take her to places like Endor and Yavin, or anywhere else the Death Stars might be. And if she's on Endor, it means she will find the remains of the Death Star too. But here's the thing about that. In the past trailers, and this one included, we see pieces of the Death Star in an ocean setting. To my knowledge, Endor does not have that. Yavin does not have that either. While Yavin has water, it doesn't have what looks to be like an ocean, like Camino or something like that. So where is it? Where is this Death Star? Well, I'm glad you asked me, because that's a topic we'll get to in a few minutes. On to the next scene, we get a shot of all the, what I'm going to assume is all the Resistance fighters waiting for orders, kind of like what would happen in A New Hope and The Last Jedi. Now, as the camera pans in, you see C-3PO, Lando, Finn, Chewbacca, and Poe around the table, but I don't see Rey. Now, what I did notice is, if you back it up a little bit, far to the left, there's an open hangar door. If you watch and stare into the void for a minute, you can faintly see waves doing wave things. This is important because it puts this scene on the same planet as the Rey-Kylo fight we keep seeing in every trailer that's on the ruins of the Death Star. The waves here move in the same way as both shots, at least to me. What does it mean? Well, it likely means that this scene takes place around the same time as Rey is on the Death Star's ruins. She's probably already went in to do whatever, kind of like what Luke did in Return of the Jedi, and lets everyone else deal with whatever else might be coming. Remember when I said, probably not even 2 minutes ago, that we'll get to the Death Star in a few? Yeah, well, we're on the Death Star now. So next up, we cut from the forest-looking place with the ship flying over to the water world that's been shown in every trailer. You can see Rey standing on the wreckage of the Death Star. I'm going to assume this is the Death Star. Probably is the Death Star. And Rey slowly waits as Kylo reveals himself, blade drawn, ready to kill, or something. Now, if you watch the waves in this shot, then go back to the waves outside the hangar door, you can't tell me they don't move the same. They do. These two scenes take place on the same planet. So the question arises once again, which planet is this? Is it Endor? Is it Yavin? Honestly, I don't think it's either. But I do think the Death Star we're looking at is the Death Star 2, which was above Endor. But you have to remember something. Endor is not Endor. Technically speaking, the Endor we know is the forest moon of Endor. In actuality, Endor is a gas giant orbited by 9 moons, the forest moon being one of them. Now, would it be crazy to assume that when the Death Star 2 exploded, bits and pieces landed on the other 8 moons? Maybe the scenes we keep seeing aren't on the forest moon, but the water moon of Endor. It sounds dumb when you say it out loud, but it works, and it keeps the settings from being the same as episode 6. So let's cut away from SeaWorld for a second, and we get to this crazy, like, platform made of, I want to say Kyber, but I'm not sure, and a swarm of First Order TIE fighters that fly past the camera on their way to it. I have no idea what this is. It looks like wild space or something in the unknown regions to me. I can't see this being in the known galaxy. And if this is in wild space or the unknown regions, I'm going to assume that it is maybe the initial base for the smaller group of Imperials that escaped the galaxy after the Emperor died. For those who aren't aware of, the contingency and stuff, the Empire lost the Galactic Civil War to the rebels who formed the Republic after the Emperor died in Episode 6. Now, just because the Emperor was dead at that point, that doesn't mean the Empire just ceased to exist all of a sudden and the Republic took over, even though that's kind of what Palpatine wanted, which is the plot of the Battlefront 2 campaign and the Aftermath books with his contingency plan.
Admiral Versio, Operation Cinder is to begin at once. Resistance, rebellion, defiance. These are concepts that cannot be allowed to persist. You are but one of many tools by which these ideas shall be burned away. Heed my messenger. He shall relay you to your target.
Operation Cinder is the last command of our Emperor, and the first step in securing our future.
Anyways, while most of the Empire was now falling through on his contingency, they were wiping out Imperial planets, people, etc., a small remnant, a tiny little remnant, escaped into wild space and returned in Episode 7 as the First Order. Since this is the last movie in the Skywalker saga, and since it will likely wrap up the First Order as an entity, I can only assume we will see where they originated from, at least that's the hope, and where they were hiding to begin with. And this platform, that just might be it. Or maybe it's just completely unrelated. Maybe it's a mining town, maybe a rebel base or something like that. I don't know. It's cool to dream though. Anyways, moving on. We cut from the platform to a throne. Clearly, this is something from the dark side. I had to watch this scene multiple times. I love Sith stuff. I especially love it because I have no idea what it could be. Honestly, your guess is as good as mine on this. Maybe it's something dark, ancient, that belonged to the first of the Sith or something else, or maybe it's just a throne Palpatine used, or Snoke, or something like that. I couldn't really say, but it's interesting, could be important. You can let me know your thoughts on it. Then we bounce to an Imperial Star Destroyer that's like busting out of its egg and flying up. Judging by the last trailer, where we had all those Imperial Star Destroyers waiting for use in that weird, crazy formation, honestly, it's probably a part of that. And in what I could only assume is a counter to all those Star Destroyers, we get Rebel ships, creating the biggest mess of a fleet I have ever seen in my life. We had Republic-era ships, Empire-era stuff, the Ghost from Star Wars Rebels is in there, the ship in the far left corner kind of looks like one of those separatist capital ships, and then we had the Millennium Falcon, of course. There's not much here, but I'm gonna assume that the rise of the Star Destroyers and the combination of the Rebel fleet is in-game stuff. And to go along with that narrative, we see more Imperial Star Destroyers in the next scene I want to discuss. This time, it's a Y-Wing, and it's doing flips and destroying some Imperial TIE fighters while there's 2 Star Destroyers, multiple sort of overhead. This is why I think it could be in-game. Usually, climactic battles like this are toward the conclusion of a story, kind of like the second battle of the Death Star. Also, maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe I'm crazy, but at a certain point in this shot, you can see another battle taking place up above, and it looks as if there are those droid fighters from the Clone Wars. I'll try to get a good shot of it and put up a comparison picture, but I don't know. I think I'm seeing things, honestly, but still. So moving forward in the trailer, the screen cuts to black with the text that says, "The story lives on forever," and you're like, wow, that's cool, whoa. What a crazy line. And then the throne room from episode 6 appears, and you're just like, what? We see Rey and Kylo. Rey's lightsaber is drawn, Kylo's is not. That sort of harkens back to the duel between Luke and Vader. Luke does not attack Vader and instead tries to reason with him. This might be something similar, but with the roles reversed. Maybe Kylo turns good in the end and Rey is shown to turn bad, and he aims to help her see the error of her ways, or maybe she's corrupted by Palpatine or something crazy. Regardless, there was lots of speculation on reversed roles for The Last Jedi, and this could be that, just a movie later. The next scene, we cut to a shot behind this like pillar thing, probably a statue of someone. I'm gonna guess Palpatine or maybe Kylo. Maybe he's that egotistical now, maybe. And it's being sliced in half by both Kylo and Rey. It's good to note here that Kylo has his helmet, which we've seen in a previous trailer being fixed. We also see that the place they're in is clean, it's spotless, and it reminds me of a previous shot in this trailer of Chewie, Finn, and Poe frantically running through the halls of a First Order base, or an outpost, or a ship, or something along those lines. Anyways, we're almost done. Our next scene is a close-up of Kylo as he looks ahead for a second like he's contemplating something. He's probably contemplating this trailer. And then he sort of walks off screen to go do whatever. Good thing to note here, and probably the only thing to note here, he does not have a scar in this shot. If you remember, he suffered a wound in The Force Awakens, and in The Last Jedi he had to have that weird bandage over it that they moved and all that, and people were mad about it. Either way, his wound has either healed, or this is a flashback to something before episode 7. Then, at long last, we get our first shot of Palpatine as he lords over Rey. He's wearing his signature black robe, he cackles crazily and all that. Is crazily a word? I don't know. And it looks to be almost strapped to some chair, or at least sitting in one, or something like that. Regardless, Palpatine does look as if he's floating, and it does look like Rey is completely unaware of what she's seeing, like she doesn't completely understand what's going on, and that's honestly quite like us. Then, in the final shot before the title screen, we see Rey illuminated in the blue light of her lightsaber, almost scared at first, but then she sort of like composes herself and blinks, and she looks as if she gains confidence in whatever she's about to throw down with, because I'm going to assume she throw downs with something. Then we get to the title card, and that's it. That's the entirety of the final trailer before the movie releases in December. Now, I know I did not go into insane detail at some points, because this video is already going to be like a monster, but I find it's better to make guesses, think a bit, and come back to it another time, which, spoilers, that means I'm going to do a final theory video sometime in December, probably the week before the movie launches or something like that. Anyways, that's it for now. You can let me know your thoughts on my thoughts, I guess you could say, as well as all questions, comments, and concerns regarding this video, Star Wars, or its lore, in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching.